Welcome to Walls and Wire. Today we're talking about something really central to Malaysian society. Does real meritocracy actually stand a chance here when some prominent political figures keep raising feels that, recognizing talent from everyone means a specific community somehow loses out?
It's a constant undercurrent, isn't it, this tension?
Exactly. You hear it everywhere, from casual chats in coffee shops right up to serious discussions in boardrooms. This idea that just picking the best person for the job, regardless of their background, could somehow unravel things.
Hmm.
And personally, I often notice the focus seems to be so much on who might lose rather than what we all gain. It feels like that holds us back sometimes.
That framing is definitely powerful in political discourse.
So thinking about this, what's your initial reaction? Do you think fully embracing meritocracy inevitably means, well, shifting power, or is it more about building a stronger Malaysia for everyone involved?
It's a really complex question and probably not an either answer for many.
To really get into this, let's start with a specific event recently that sort of became a focal point for this whole debate. We're talking about Datuk M. Kumar's appointment.
Ah, yes, as the Director of the Criminal Investigation Department, the CID, at Bukit Aman.
Right. And that's a huge position, we should stress. It's basically, what, the third highest rank in the entire police force?
Pretty much, yes. A very significant role. So this wasn't just some routine reshuffle.
Not at all. It immediately sparked a lot of public reaction, quite heated reaction, actually.
And what's really interesting is how quickly the political commentary jumped on it. Almost instantly, you had Badrul Hisham, the Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia chief for Port Dickson, publicly questioning it.
He didn't just question it. He raised a specific kind of alarm, didn't he? Talking about a potential domino effect.
Exactly. He voiced this concern that having an Indian leader in that specific, very visible security role could start a chain reaction.
And he spelled out what that chain reaction might look like, naming some really key positions.
He did. He pointed towards roles like the Chief Justice of the Federal Court, the Chief of Defense Force, even the Inspector General of Police itself, suggesting these could eventually go to non-Malays.
He actually said, didn't he, that this appointment showed Malaysia was starting to accept the Malaysian Malaysia idea.
Yes, and that phrase itself is loaded. The intention behind using it and framing the appointment this way seems pretty strategic.
How so? What's the strategy there?
Well, it's less about questioning Dr. Kumar's individual competence and more about framing his appointment as a symbol, a perceived threat to the long-standing status quo.
The status quo regarding Malay leadership in top government posts.
Precisely. It taps directly into anxieties within a part of the Malay community about potentially losing influence or power, that whole Malay is losing power narrative.
And invoking Malaysian Malaysia that has its own history.
It does. For some, that term represents a move away from the special position of Malays in Bumiputera towards a more, let's say, equal footing based purely on citizenship, which challenges the existing social framework for them. So using that phrase immediately signals a kind of ideological battleground.
Okay, so you have this really strong, immediate pushback touching on some very sensitive nerves. And then the Prime Minister, Dato' Seri Anwar Ibrahim, responds quite forcefully.
He did, yeah. During the Ministry of Finance's monthly assembly, he addressed it head-on.
And his message was pretty direct. I think his quote was something like, I don't think this is a problem. As long as a person has the ability and responsibility, we should let them rise.
That's the one. A very clear statement.
Yeah.
It directly counters the race-based objection by shifting the focus entirely onto competence. Ability and responsibility, not ethnicity.
Exactly. He kept emphasizing ability and capability, explicitly saying the government doesn't look at race or background for these kinds of appointments. And he also addressed that domino effect fear directly, pointing out that, well, the top police roles, the Inspector General and the Deputy Inspector General, are still held by Malays.
Which is a factual counterargument, right?
Yes.
Using the current statistics to diffuse the narrative of an imminent shift in overall leadership.
So what's the significance of Anwar making such a strong stand on this, politically speaking?
Well, it takes considerable political courage in the Malaysian context. You have to remember, the demographics, Malays and Bumiputera make up, what, around 67, 78% of the population?
Right.
So publicly championing merit over race, especially for sensitive security positions, isn't without risk. It's a very deliberate move, I think, to push forward this narrative of inclusivity and meritocracy.
Positioning his government as focused on talent.
Exactly. Talent first. It signals a certain vision for the country, one that values capability regardless of background. Of course, this can provoke backlash from groups focused on ethnic politics. But it also aims to build a broader base, committed to perhaps a more modern, competency-driven Malaysia. It's a significant statement of intent.
And this focus on capability wasn't just about appointments. Anwar also made another statement that caught a lot of attention, this one about the economy.
The statement acknowledging the economic contribution of the Chinese community.
He said, quite plainly, the Chinese people are Malaysia's biggest economic contributors. What's the weight of a prime minister saying that?
It's significant. I mean, in a multi-ethnic country like Malaysia with its complex history around economics and ethnicity, having the PM publicly state that is quite something.
Why significant?
Because it acknowledges very directly the contribution of a major non-Malay community to the nation's prosperity. It pushes against narratives that might sometimes downplay or overlook these contributions.
So it's about national unity, recognizing everyone's part.
I think that's a key part of it, yes.
Yeah.
It helps foster a sense of shared ownership and shared success, recognizing that different communities play vital roles. It's an attempt, perhaps, to build bridges by acknowledging economic realities.
Okay, so we see Anwar pushing this line merit in appointments, recognizing contributions from different groups, a sort of capability-focused narrative.
Yes, a distinct philosophy seems to be emerging there.
But then if you look elsewhere in the political landscape, you see quite different messages, right?
Absolutely. There are contrasting viewpoints. If you think about Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, for instance, his focus has often been articulated differently.
Yeah, so.
Well, thinking back, he's expressed concerns, for example, about what might happen if electoral boundaries were redrawn. He stated that it could lead to Malays permanently losing potential or rights.
Ah, right. So that shifts the focus away from national capability towards what? Protecting group interests.
It frames the issue around the preservation of specific group rights and expresses a clear anxiety about a potential loss of power or standing for the Malay community due to structural changes. It's a narrative rooted in potential vulnerability.
So that really sets up two very different ways of looking at Malaysia's future, doesn't it?
It does, starkly so.
On one side, Anwar's approach, merit, ability, acknowledging diverse contributions, a kind of progressive, inclusive vision. On the other, Muhyiddin's emphasis, preserving specific rights, concern about losing ground, focusing on group security.
Yes, a more preservationist stance, perhaps you could say, focused on maintaining a particular balance of power.
It really makes you think, when you look at these two contrasting directions, which approach do you feel resonates more for where Malaysia should be heading? What are the deeper implications of each path?
That's the fundamental question voters often grapple with, isn't it?
And that leads us to the political reality now. It often feels like the choice is very much binary, doesn't it? Essentially Pakatan Harapan versus Perikatan Nasional.
That's largely been the case, yes. The idea of a viable third force emerging to seriously challenge these two main coalitions nationally, well, it's proven very difficult in Malaysian politics.
Why is that so challenging?
There are several factors. The electoral system itself tends to favor established coalitions. Resources, media access, these are often concentrated. And even Muhyiddin's recent efforts to try and unite the opposition parties kind of reinforces this binary dynamic.
How so?
Because it shows that even a major opposition leader sees the path to power through consolidating one of the two major blocs rather than creating a separate viable third option nationally.
So third forces are mostly just regional.
Historically, yes.
Yeah.
Parties, particularly from Sabah and Sarawak, have acted as significant forces, but often more at the state level or as coalition partners, rather than a distinct national alternative to the two main blocs.
Okay, so boiling it down, the choice presented often seems to be Pakatan Harapan, with Anwar championing ability over race and acknowledging diverse economic roles. And on the other side, Perikatan Nasional, with Muhyiddin voicing concerns about Malay rights, potential loss of power through electoral changes, that kind of thing.
It's a clear contrast in priorities and, I suppose, in their vision for the nation's core identity and direction.
So what we've discussed today really gets to the heart of a major ongoing tension in Malaysia. It's this fundamental clash, isn't it, between pushing for meritocracy, using everyone's talents, and the strong pull to preserve existing ethnic power structures.
A central dilemma.
And these aren't just theoretical debates. They directly impact policies, they shape how people talk about the country, and ultimately they influence where Malaysia is headed. It makes you ask, can the nation really reach its full potential without fully embracing talent from every single community?
Or is the fear of disrupting that traditional balance just too politically potent?
A tough question with no easy answers. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.